Hi all. I've been busy recently studying different pawn structures and aspects of pawns. There is the expression pawns are the soul of the game, you can see above, by Francois Andre Danican Philidor. And this course kind of investigates many different aspects of pawns. It shows the duality of seemingly bad pawn structures, like isolated pawns, backward pawns, hanging pawns, double pawns. They do have their upsides quite often in terms of piece activity. It's a classic trade-off between beauty and functionality. The pawn structure is good if it enables you to have great, winning plans and great winning tactics, in my view. It might look visually kind of disintegrated sometimes, but if it provides you with, say, complete control of a file or other stuff, then it has good functionality, then maybe it's not as bad as you think. So I tried to take a balanced view of multiple different pawn structures in this new course, and I went to town actually with the examples for and against. I found 10 examples generally for and 10 against in each of the major, what I consider the major structures that interested me and are more strategic in nature. It's kind of boiling the ocean if you want to sort of take all the pawn structures in the world, because then you'd have to look at all the different openings and they'd have certain peculiarities. So first I do start with the elements of different pawn structures. So if you check this out on Kingscrusher TV/pawn special, in the next 4 or 5 days, that's the maximum discount for this. If you pass that, you can use Kingscrusher TV/pawns, and still that's a big discount. So, by the way, let's have a look at the structure. So the introduction section, I introduced some of the concepts. One of the concepts I'm really keen on as well is about pawns not going backwards. That to me reflects an irreversible decision type, and in my IT background, that rings a bell as being extremely important. Like you're trying to leave those kind of decisions to the last responsible moment. But in chess, sometimes, you've got to think carefully about your pawn moves. They are the irreversible element of your moves. A knight you can move backwards and forwards, but a pawn you can't. And they create weaknesses often behind them. So pawn moves can be double-edged. The hypermodernists kind of knew that. Breyer wrote that after 1e4, the game is in its last throws. They had the idea that you should be careful about constructing anything in the center because it could be destroyed later. So, but anyway, I look at as well now in the isolated pawns, winning with, winning against, backward pawns, winning against, winning with, and you can see that pattern: hanging pawns, double pawns. There's two key exceptions actually. I don't have the with and against. It's the pass pawns and the form pawns. These two are the exceptions. I consider them generally more favourable. I didn't want to sort of go too much into how they're defeated, especially my pet form pawn concept, which the neural networks have shown is a great idea in general. Then I also go E5 pawn chain, D5 pawn chain, Roxy bind, Carlsbad. So that's Caro, Slav, Modern Benoni, which emphasises a lot of Mikhail Tal games when we're looking at the Benoni, and Stonewall, which is a favourite of my dad, who used to play that against me all the time, and I conclude at the end. So there's quite a few different structures, and in particular, I think it's unique from other pawn structure courses, the form pawn section in particular, with neural network examples. The analysis is all with the latest Stockfish neural network, so I've revisited a lot of my past analysis, finding new resources, sometimes amazing resources in classic iconic games. And if nothing else, you also get this collection of big iconic games, which quite a lot of masters, I expect, they know already. And you can see from this index, have a look at this index for yourself, see the taste of the grandmasters and the world champions chosen. My personal favourite throughout the course, actually, I'm going to confess, I really love the style of Petrosian. He's very risk averse, but when he wins, I just find it, usually I'm impressed by his games in general. And for non-world champions, Michael Adams is my favourite positional grandmaster. So if you do see a lot of examples from those two, that's why. I have certain preferences in the World Champions. Botvinnik is a classic, and there are other very instructive positional masters that I've chosen in these examples. But I myself feel I've trained my own mental neural network by having so many key examples, forcing myself to find key examples for and against. I've kind of discovered and been amazed actually sometimes by the key plans that are actually working in practice. I think the biggest surprise for me, the Cairo structure, you'd think it's a positional all the time, the Cairo structure, but actually playing for e4, e5 to dislodge a key defensive knight on the king side in the Cairo structure is kind of a key idea that Kasparov has often used. So I've got a lot of Kasparov games as well, Karpov games. So the Cairo structure, I did find that interesting. So yeah, there were some extremely revealing things that I kind of sharpened my notion of certain what you call template plans, which I think really help form your own effective plans given a certain pawn structure. So pawn structures are independent of particular opening quite often, and so you could actually reorganize your repertoire or optimize it based on your favorite pawn structures, the one that you're most comfortable with. And with this course, you do get a number of ideas for and against the different pawn structures, which would help you play that structure more effectively. So I believe it's really helped me, and to my surprise, also even the stone wall, which you might think is suspect, but Adams has been winning with the black side of the Dutch stone wall against top grandmasters, so he's shown that it's quite strong, and I think that has been a surprise to me to see exactly how that's been morphed into from the old masters like Sultan Khan would actually politely start with knight f3, e3 blocking in a bishop, and then transpose to a stone wall later. So your transpositional powers also could be vastly enhanced by this course. You'll see that the structures, yeah, they are like resources in their own right, that if you think you can transpose a particular structure that you really know the pros and cons of, that can be really handy in a number of situations. So I do hope you check it out. It's, I think, the largest course ever for chess on Udemy. It's about 45 hours right now. If you have a crying desperate need for a structure I haven't covered, please do let me know in the comments of this video, and for a future upgrade I might put a few examples pro and against that structure. Okay, but I think there's a lot of food for thought already in this course. I started to think I was boiling the ocean towards the end of it, and I never want to do a course like this again. It's vast. It's vast. It's been a vast project. Okay, no, but I think it's very, very interesting, even as a structured collection of iconic games to work through, so you get an insight in actually all aspects of chess, opening, middle game, and end game from the great masters. So please do check it out. And by the way, thank you all for, the tactics course is like one of the most popular courses now at Udemy, just within weeks. That's quite amazing, the reaction. It does tell me that if I'm one with the spirit of the course, and I do love tactics, and I do love pawn structures and Petrosian as well, but I'll try and only stick with stuff that I really love. It will just come out, I know, badly in the video if I don't really like the stuff. But I picked my favourite structures, my favourite players, my favourite examples in this mammoth new course. So I hope you check it out. Okay, and remember to use those codes. Kingscrusher TV /pawn special will last for the next 4 days. That's the maximum discount you'll get. If you miss that, pawns, yeah, it's still a huge discount. And check out the Kingscrusher TV /chess tactics. And I try and renew these voucher codes at the start of each month, by the way. Okay. Comments, questions, like, shares, subscribes, all appreciated. Thanks very much.